Hi guys, from Pax Europiana back again here from the center of Austrian power. This is the Austrian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and this is the Austrian Ministry of Internal Affairs. And now with Kabul fallen, I will call now for Austria to take 1,000 Afghan refugees directly from Kabul airport, and especially to take in people with background in gender promotion and in equality of the gender. That means female representatives, women and children maybe also would be very good to fly them out of Afghanistan. Doesn't take a lot, it's free airplanes. We have Austrian Airlines. I think they can lease it here we have a lot of money in Austria. We just spent 60 billion in 1.5 years of the government of Kurz. So it's absolutely doable to transport 1,000 Afghan human rights promoters and people who have exposed themselves for our values in the last 20 years in Afghanistan, and to bring them to Austria. That I think would be the first very humane and clear measure to be taken after the fall of Kabul. And Austria obviously is in a different mood. You know, the internal minister wants to send people back, Mr. Nehammer. He is very bizarre personality. I will talk about him later in this video if you want to hear my opinion about him. But here I think it's very urgent appeal to send free airplanes to Kabul, take out 1,000 people and help them into safety. And this could be done by all European Union. We have 27 member states, everybody 1,000. We have also other states in the European continent. In NATO, all over, it's about 50 countries, and we could all take 1,000, and that would be also a big relief in this emergency situation. And the rest of the free world could also, America, everybody, to take in a considerable amount. So 100,000 people could be saved from the Taliban. And that's basically the pro-Western elite. We should also make sure that they have a hiding and they are safe and they will not be harmed, prosecuted by the Taliban terror regime. That's the first thing. The second thing, absolutely we should then stop to send anybody back to Afghanistan. We have also a justice system in Austria. If somebody committed a crime, obviously he has to be punished very hard. Depending on the crime, there is a verdict, and then we have prisons as well. You know, we don't need to send anybody back to be tortured in some Taliban terror camp. We can definitely take care of the criminals, and we can also immediately stop any kind of expatriation of anybody towards Afghanistan. That's very logically, and everybody who is already here to get a permanent asylum status, because seriously you cannot send anybody back. And also to help Turkey in this crisis, because there's a lot of Afghans already there, and take a contingent of Afghans in Turkey, so that Turkey, which will be the buffer state in that coming Afghan refugee crisis, has a little bit of help and also has some kind of relief in the current crisis and can cope very well. Obviously none of that will happen because Austria is governed by very, the way Kurz came to power. This is very important to understand, is very much connected with closing of the Balkan route. I was myself here having a meeting with one of the ambassadors from the foreign ministry, at the day in February 2005 when he closed it. And of course, he knows that's popular because the whole idea of the Austrian society is very much about protecting from the East. That's unfortunate, and so he knows it's popular, and so we'll do nothing of that. But we should expose also this kind of duplicity, when on the one hand funding international and gender equality is very important, climate change is very important, and the talking, but in the reality it's the most inhumane government we have in the Second Republic, and that is something totally unacceptable, and the Greens should definitely not accept that. It's very outrageous what is our policy towards Afghanistan and towards many of the other conflicts we have. And also most of the foreign policy is completely wrong. We are, anyhow, I made many statements. We are not in NATO. We have not supported Albania, Macedonia, Montenegro really to join the EU. We have postponed all the Schengen enlargement. We have postponed in the past all the labor market integration. We are anti-Ukrainian and it's a complete mess. Yes, and recommending neutrality to Ukraine after the invasion of Russia, and so on and so on. The list is plentiful, and it all goes back to a very pro-Russian foreign policy and a very populist, protectionist trade and immigration policy in these two houses here. And I'm feeling a little bit lonely as a critical voice to all this nonsense which is happening since especially 2014. But I'm not getting tired in criticizing it, from our Kosovo policy to our Albanian policy to our Ukraine policy, and now the latest climax. Obviously we are a very unimportant state, so we don't have our own Afghanistan policy, but at least we could try to be merciful and humane and help some people. But Mr. Nehammer got famous now on social media as even after Kabul was fallen, to say as long as it's possible we will expatriate. I think he doesn't even watch television. I mean, he and the other gentleman who is running the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they both are only there because they have this absolute loyalty. They are not politicians, yeah. They have this absolute loyalty to Sebastian Kurz, and they normally the Minister of Interior would be maximum running a training academy for sergeants, for staff officers. He is a competent man, and so is the other diplomat who is running. He would be a good ambassador. But both are no politicians, and that's exactly why they are sitting there, because they have no political basis of their own. They do just, what the selection committee and the opinion poll committee around Kurz is deciding, depending on the popularity. And so that's the maximization of the popularity, resulting in good voting results, and that keeps the power basis and the power tools working. And so we're doing all this kind of complete messy foreign policy because whatever kind of popularity degree that has, keep foreigners out, basically. That's the overwhelming consensus, and then the foreign policy is done according to that. Yes, okay, let's not go too detailed in all this nonsense. The fact is, we should now in this crisis be open and at least have a merciful policy towards the people who were working for Western interests and believed in freedom, democracy, human rights and the values we pretend to defend. And we have all the opportunities, and it's absolutely necessary to call in 1,000 Afghan refugees now from the Kabul airport, airlift them out towards Vienna, and not airlift anybody back, obviously, and stop all kind of ideas of repatriation. No, we have all the mechanism and tools open society needs to protect itself. If somebody is criminal, really criminal, then he has to be, of course, treated accordingly, and that we can do in Austria very well. And then also, if somebody just has a problem with his residence papers, then be mercifully, because nobody should be sent back to an Islamist terror regime which the Taliban will erect now. And after they have been here in many years, they will be definitely seen as spies and Western agents back then, and sending them back after we have already invested in their integration effort is of course completely utter nonsensical. So I hope for better policy, while I'm also realistically that from these two houses under present leadership I don't expect any massive improvements, and luckily we are in the European Union. And yeah, that's basically what we can say. But also the EU is not really very helpful in this one. Okay, that's from the main square. Now on this very topical point, I will bring you some, you see the European flag, that's the ministry. You see everything here now. This is this is Mr. Fiegel actually. He is the founder of our republic. Good, more to come here. I will walk now to the OPEC headquarters and give you some perspective on Austrian foreign policy depending on the international institutions which we have here, and I will talk about that very soon. Thanks a lot for listening. Bye for Pax Europiana. And wherever you are, and by the way, actually Kosovo, Albania and Macedonia, they have offered to take refugees from Afghanistan. I forgot to mention that. That's very good, they are really good. We are not so good. Thanks a lot.